This week, we cover once again Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden talking about price gouging for GLP-1s. We talk about surprising blindness with Ozempic. She loves this story. And some new medications as well in the pipeline. Welcome. My name is Christopher Durham.
I'm Laraine Durham.
And this is the Downsized News. Today is Monday, July 8th. We're here to bring you the latest updates and insights on GLP-1 medications like Mounjaro, Zepbound, Wegovy, Ozempic, tirzepatide, semaglutide, and anything else that comes along. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our Downsized Live, where we dive deep into all these important topics and take questions from you guys. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we like to have questions from the audience, and we interact with people, so it's a lot of fun. Join us Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, we started a new website, so check out our website and GLP-1 companion product store at thedownsized.org. For more resources and information.
Just a reminder, while we're passionate about GLP-1s and weight loss, we're not doctors. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional before starting or revising any weight loss medication or treatment.
Let's get into today's news.
We begin today with a story about the ongoing debate over drug pricing in the United States. Following our full report on this letter on Friday, the makers of popular diabetes and weight loss drugs have responded to a recent column by President Joe Biden and Senator Bernie Sanders calling for significantly lower drug prices. The column, published in USA Today, specifically targets Novo Nordisk, the manufacturer of Ozempic, and also mentions competitor Eli Lilly, the maker of Mounjaro and Zepbound, along with other pharmaceutical companies, for what they describe as the exorbitant prices. In the column, Biden and Sanders wrote, "If Novo Nordisk and other pharmaceutical companies refuse to substantially lower prescription drug prices in our country and end their greed, we will do everything in our power to end it for them. Novo Nordisk must substantially reduce the price of Ozempic and Wegovy." The response from Novo Nordisk should be no surprise to anyone, and it came swiftly. In a statement to Yahoo Finance, the company said, "The difficult and complex problem of U.S. drug pricing is being oversimplified and mischaracterized for political purposes. Each country has its own healthcare system, and making isolated and limited comparisons ignores this fundamental concern." Novo Nordisk CEO Lars Jorgensen has agreed to testify before Sanders' committee in late September. Eli Lilly also defended its pricing practices, stating that comparing list prices in the United States to other countries ignores patient affordability programs and hundreds of billions of dollars in discounts and fees paid to PBMs by pharmaceutical companies that should lower the costs of medicines for Americans, but unfortunately this system can drive prices higher. Both companies noted that most Americans have access to these drugs for $25 through savings cards or insurance. Give me a call, Eli Lilly. And
Not us.
It's simply not true. Most Americans do not have access to them for $25.
If you do, get it.
Despite the monthly list prices for the injectables being at over $1,000, most Americans do not have access for $25. Sanders has repeatedly cited a Yale University study showing these drugs can be manufactured for less than $5 per month. Analysts expect Ozempic and Wegovy combined to bring in sales of $26 billion for Novo Nordisk for the full year 2024, while Mounjaro and Zepbound could generate approximately $13.5 billion for Eli Lilly, according to Bloomberg. Novo Nordisk also mentioned that the cost of both the GLP-1 drugs has decreased by 40% since their launch, but added, "Unfortunately, even when we lower our prices, patients in the United States often don't receive the savings. This is a problem." So lots of conversation that came out. You can go read all the comments from the Post Friday talking about this letter. The American system is obscenely complex, and there is cost added at every level. Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly want you to think they're starting out at a good price. They're not. Let's not pretend. What the price they're passing on is really high, and then the pharmacy benefit managers add additional price. And then the drugstores have to make a little bit of money. This is an incredibly complex system, and if these manufacturers, the PBMs, the drugstores, everybody wants to really fix this, they have to be completely transparent. Let's track the cost, the price. Let's make sure everybody's making a profit, and let's fix this problem instead of pointing fingers. I'm tired of it. No, Novo Nordisk, people cannot get this for $25.
No. We watched that South Park episode on Ozempic and Wegovy, where the little boy Cartman tries to get the Ozempic, and
There's a whole song and dance on it.
It's so complicated, and they sing, we're navigating the American healthcare system. First we go to insurance, and we go to the... It's so complicated. Like, why does it have to be so complicated? Even just navigating it. So you get the prescription from your doctor. The doctor sends it to the pharmacy. The pharmacy says, oh, let's see if the doctor really meant to do that, and asks the doctor for a prior authorization. The doctor said, yeah, I really meant to prescribe that. Sends the prior authorization to the pharmacy. Then the pharmacy sends it to the insurance company. The insurance company says, oh, we don't agree with that prior authorization, and we're not going to cover it. So then the pharmacy doesn't fill it.
Well, it's all those PBMs getting in the middle of it and even deciding what can be covered or not.
I don't understand what PBM means.
I don't think most people do.
What is that?
It's a pharmacy benefit manager. It's the in-between.
Who's my pharmacy benefit manager?
Well, it depends on who your insurance is through. Our system is so complex and obscene.
I don't understand it at all.
We'll have to do a whole video.
And this isn't the first
I don't
time
think
we've
anybody
bought
understands
medication. Like you've been on high blood pressure medicine and high cholesterol medicine for years, and I mean, I don't know.
Well, and part of what
that's not that expensive.
Bernie's committee and some of the new legislation that came out, how insulin got reduced was they went in and looked at all these and could negotiate against and figured out the pricing and said, you should still make a profit, but not this much profit.
Yeah, they're going to have to do that for GLP-1s.
Absolutely, and a lot of medications. So story number 2?
Story number 2, we have an important update from the FDA regarding the current drug shortage list. Drug shortages can occur due to various reasons, such as manufacturing and quality issues, delays, and discontinuations. The FDA closely collaborates with manufacturers to prevent or minimize the impact of these shortages. The FDA has updated its drug shortage database to include information about Eli Lilly's weight loss and diabetes drugs, Mounjaro and Zepbound. These updates were posted on July 2nd, 2024, and are based on self-reports from the drug manufacturers. Both Mounjaro and Zepbound in 10 milligram and 15 milligram doses are listed as limited availability until at least July 2024. The primary reason for this shortage is a significant increase in the demand for these drugs. However, all other doses are listed as available. Okay, if you say so. When a drug is listed as current in the drug shortage database, it means that the FDA is aware of the supply situation and is actively working with manufacturers to address the supply disruption. Additionally, the FDA continues collaborating with manufacturers on shortage prevention efforts for drugs that are not yet listed.
So what's interesting to note about this is, and I don't think I fully understood it, the FDA does not actually have access to sales data or to actual supply chain data. This is self-reported data from the manufacturer.
So Eli Lilly says,
hey, we're a little
short. And the FDA goes, oh, all right, we'll put that on our list.
That's exactly how it happens.
Okay.
And I can only guess that no manufacturer wants to actively stand up and say we're completely out.
A lot of the other doses are also hard to find. And if you go, like we tried to get the 15 for you at CVS, and they said, we'll put it in our system, but we can't get it right now, and we don't keep it in stock. We're not keeping this Zepbound in stock anymore because it's so expensive. And I'm like, but why? You can sell it in 20
But that
minutes.
goes back to the whole complexity of the system. And CVS is one of those interesting companies that has now become this giant healthcare company. They're not just a drugstore chain, and they own Aetna, and they own the PBM, and so it's all about, if we're not going to cover that, why should we stock it? Because those are costing us. We're sitting there with $100,000 worth of stock
of inventory. Yeah, I don't know. I might have to switch my business to Walgreens. I went in Walgreens this morning. It was a delightful shopping experience.
And our medications were in stock.
Yeah.
So story number 3. A recent study by Mass General Brigham has identified a potential link between popular weight loss drugs Ozempic and Wegovy and a rare form of blindness. Now, this story's all over the internet. I always want to cover every story, whether the story or not. Let's take a look, because
let's see what this story really says.
The reality is it's about our health, and we need to be aware. The study indicates that patients taking semaglutide, marketed as Ozempic and Wegovy, may face an increased risk of developing non-arteritic anterior ischemic, let me say that again, non-arteritic anterior ischemic optic neuropathy, NAION, a condition leading to sudden vision loss. Despite this correlation, researchers, including Dr. Joseph Rizzo of Mass Eye and Ear, emphasize that the study does not establish a direct causal relationship between semaglutide and NAN. Dr. Rizzo explained that while the study shows an association, it does not confirm that semaglutide causes it. This rare condition affected 2 to 10 out of every 100,000 people, results from reduced blood flow to the optic nerve, and is a leading cause of blindness after glaucoma. The research involved analyzing medical records of approximately 17,000 patients over 6 years, focusing on those with type 2 diabetes or obesity. Findings revealed that patients prescribed semaglutide were more likely to develop NAION compared to those taking other medications. Novo Nordisk, the manufacturer of Ozempic and Wegovy, responded by emphasizing the lack of sufficient evidence to provide a causal link between their drugs and NAION. The company reassured that patient safety is their top priority and highlighted that NAION is not listed as a potential side effect on their FDA-approved labels. Experts urge patients to consult healthcare providers about these findings. They stress that while the potential risk is concerning, it should be balanced against the benefits of these medications, which have significantly helped many managing their weight and diabetes. So, a very small risk. They can't actually say that the medication caused the problem. But you should be aware of it. So if you're having issues, go to your doctor.
Well, and this study was done on people who...
Well, it wasn't done on people, but what it actually is, and we've seen a lot of these studies, is they're going back and looking at records. Because we have these huge databases of records, they went back and looked at 17,000 records.
And said,
and they didn't even know what they were looking for. They just found things.
Found that they developed this problem. So they don't know that the medication caused the problem. They just happen to notice that the people developed this issue.
And it's just the wonder of these databases that we'll learn more and more things as it happens. With the increased use of AI, it can actually go out and do the analysis.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. Pay attention.
I just don't want the headline to be Ozempic and Wegovy cause this.
Oh, that is the headline. If you Google it, the headline is people are going blind. Fat people are blind.
And that's concerning because I don't want people to be, they need to be aware of these things, but it's...
And what was more concerning is if you look, like I was following some of these stories on Facebook, the commenters that were talking about these stories were just terrible people and just going, see, I told you, fat people.
You just need to diet and exercise.
You did it the easy way. See what happens?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, people jump on the GLP medication is bad and cheating bandwagon, and it's just not the case. I don't want to give those people more fuel for their fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't want to ignore stories that are being reported out there. So we're going to bring you these stories. Again, talk to your doctor. If you're having any issues, make sure that you're resolving them and really taking care of yourself. Yeah. The story number 4.
Well, there's exciting news for our Downsized community in India.
Believe it or not, we have a few viewers from India. I think there was 2.
Namaste.
Yep.
India's drug regulator has just given the green light to import and market 2 blockbuster drugs, Mounjaro and Zepbound, made by Eli Lilly. These injectables, marketed in the U.S., are now set up to help Indians battling diabetes and obesity. The news comes as India is facing an obesity epidemic with alarm bells ringing. A new global analysis published by The Lancet found that 44 million women and 26 million men aged above 20 in India were found to be obese. This figure being 2.4 million women and 1.1 million men in 1990. This is the first time that injectables of this class will be available in India. Eli Lilly has already received marketing authorization for type 2 diabetes in India, and they're waiting for final approval for obesity. This approval follows global trials, which included many participants from India. For those in India, this means new hope and effective options are on the horizon. Stay tuned for more updates, and as always, consult your healthcare provider for personalized advice.
First of all, did you see these numbers on obesity?
There's a lot of people in India.
There's a lot of people in India, but the raise, so 2.4 million women in 1990, and it was 44 million today that are obese.
That's a big jump from 1990 in the past, was that 30 years or so? The obesity epidemic is definitely a global
phenomenon.
epidemic. And we're all for these medications being available in other countries, but they're in shortage right now. So how are they going to supply the world?
Yeah, that many people,
Like,
who knows? They're
come
going to have to build
on.
factories for sure.
Come on, Eli Lilly. Make more. Lower your price.
Make
That's all.
more.
That's all we want.
Well, honestly, if you can get to that volume, theoretically, you ought to be able to put processes in place to lower prices.
So far, no. But
Story number 5. So you guys have watched, and I did a video on it, but Eli Lilly, I guess in the last week, 10 days, did an open letter. We did a whole video on it. Basically, Eli Lilly saying, hey, we're going to aggressively defend our patents and our trademarks for Zepbound, Mounjaro, and trizepatide, the whole deal, saying compounding was bad, saying the research companies were not doing good things. So they've been out there aggressively chasing it. So this past week, several research peptide suppliers reported on social media that they'd received cease and desist letters from Eli Lilly attorneys. Eli Lilly wasn't kidding, it turns out. A cease and desist letter is a type of communication that one party sends to another and is not a legally binding order. It essentially warns the recipient to stop a certain activity or else face a potential lawsuit. Eli Lilly is making efforts to combat the competition. It's not the government or the police or a regulatory body saying don't do this. It's Eli Lilly's attorney saying, hey, we're going to sue you
if you don't stop.
Now, we've talked about these research grade drugs before. We do not recommend them. These peptide and research grade companies are distributing versions of peptides that are labeled as not safe for human consumption without a prescription, and we don't endorse that. So you should not be taking these medications. You don't know where they came from. Eli Lilly's absolutely right.
If it's marked safe, if it's marked not safe for human consumption, do not inject it into your body. Illogical that you should have to say that out loud, but I think people are so desperate to get on this GLP-1 bandwagon, and they see on TikTok or other social media people posting about, I have cheap peptides, I can get it for some crazy low price. It's not safe. So go through a telehealth provider, go to your doctor, make sure you're getting this medication with a prescription.
So we recommend you consult your doctor or a medical professional to obtain a prescription. This is prescription medication through a reputable provider. A reputable provider. I cannot stress it enough. So it's your local pharmacy. It's a compounding pharmacy. But right now there's a lot going on, in Eli Lilly and honestly Novo Nordisk, I'm sure as well, too, are going to go after some of these folks. Make sure you keep your stock up. Make sure you're getting what you need. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
I placed a mochi order this week.
Eli Lilly is unafraid to send out cease and desist letters. Some of these companies will stop providing stuff even if they're reputable for fear of being sued. So make sure you have the medication you need. Story number 6, Boehringer Ingelheim and Gubra have just announced the launch of phase 1 studies for BI, which is Boehringer Ingelheim, so that makes sense, 3034701, a potentially groundbreaking treatment for obesity.
A new drug.
The new medication is a long-acting triple agonist peptide designed to target obesity, potentially setting a new standard in treatment options. We've talked about retatrutide, which is also a triple agonist, which is not out yet. That's coming from Eli Lilly, so they're both in development. Currently, tirzepatide is a dual agonist, a GLP-1, and a GIP. This adds in a glucagon. And it's supposed to be, if you look at the retatrutide numbers, another 5% in weight loss. So it's about 25%.
30%.
Absolutely. Soren Tullens, SVP of Cardiometabolic Diseases Research at Boehringer Ingelheim, highlighted that this marks a significant step forward in their strategy to enhance the quality of life for those with cardiovascular, renal, and metabolic diseases. The medication has been developed in collaboration with Gubra. BI 3034701 utilizes licensed intellectual property and is now entering phase 1 clinical trials. Boehringer Ingelheim is leading the development and eventually commercialization of this treatment globally. The phase 1 trial is a randomized, placebo-controlled study divided into 2 parts. Part A involves healthy men aged 18 to 55, while Part B includes individuals 18 to 65 who are overweight or obese but otherwise healthy. Participants will receive the new drug or a placebo via subcutaneous injection, so basically the way we're all doing it, to evaluate safety, tolerability, and pharmacokinetics. The study marks the first time the drug will be administered to humans, with an estimated 124 participants expected to complete the trial by the second half of 2025. For those interested, more details about the phase 1 trial can be found on clinicaltrials.gov. So they're a good ways out. This is several years out.
Where do I sign up? How does one get to be in a clinical trial?
I think you go sign up for it.
And wouldn't you be mad if you were in this trial and you had to take these injections and you found out at the end they were placebo? I'd be mad.
And I think that's the risk you take.
I'd be mad. But if you got the new drug and it was fantastic, then great.
So, yeah, this is very early on. Retatrutide will be out long before this one does.
Well, and I think the takeaway from this is that there are more medications in works, in clinical trials, that are going to come along and, again, blow up the whole obesity epidemic. Because people say to us, like, are you going to be on this forever? Well, probably. But there's new things coming out all the time. So maybe they'll be more effective. Maybe the doses will last longer. Maybe I won't have to take a weekly shot forever. There's a lot of stuff coming out.
These medications all treat the disease of obesity. They do not cure the disease of obesity.
So that's my fear. If I stop taking this shot, is all the weight going to come back? And a lot of people, if they stop completely, the weight does come back. So I don't want to stop taking it. I want to maintain
Absolutely.
this weight.
They give hope, and they give the potential. I can tell you, less than a year ago, looking on the other side of now 70-plus pound, I couldn't have imagined a way. There was no way. I was 20 pounds up, 20 pounds down.
And I think that's why people got gastric bypass and other surgeries, and this is a non-surgical alternative. So I think anytime you can avoid surgery, it's better.
So that was the news this week. Thank you for joining us. Couple of plugs. Please join us on Thursday night at 7 Eastern Daylight Time right now for the Downsized Live, where we do our Q&As. It's absolutely free. Just hop onto the YouTube channel. If you have not liked and subscribed, please do. We would love to have you be a part of our Downsized family.
Right.
If you'd like to be on the Downsized Dish, our interview series, please reach out to Laraine L. Durham at folio28.com.
Yeah, also check out our new website. It's
for sure.
thedownsized.org. And on our new website page, you can join our email list. You can look at some products that we use that you might be interested in or not. People have asked us, and so we set up some links to Amazon, and we make a small commission off of those. But we just really wanted to put them out there for people who had been asking.
And there's a resource page where we will add the links to the appropriate things that we've referenced in the
press
stories.
Releases, and
clinicaltrials.gov might be there. You never know.
Yep.
Very good. My name is Christopher Durham.
And I'm Laraine Durham.
And this has been the Downsized News. Thank you very much for joining us, and
Thanks.
see you next week.